On the surface, she's just your average office worker, but the moment she gets home, she turns into a full-on homebody. It wasn't until she started working and moved out on her own that she finally filled her room with all the manga and books she loved. Her apartment became her own little sanctuary. The one thing that got to her, though, was that her neighbor next door liked to use the wall as a percussion instrument. Anna's all-time favorite anime was called Rabbit Cat. Whenever she put on anything else, the banging on the wall would start up. It drove Anna absolutely crazy. She went over and knocked on the door, but nobody answered. Anna noticed that the neighbor only had a problem with anime, specifically everyday noise, TV dramas, movies. None of that got any reaction. She started to wonder if the person next door liked the same anime she did, but she still couldn't make sense of why they'd act this way. The next day, Anna had worked overtime and was running on fumes. All she wanted was to unwind with some anime, but the second she turned on anything other than Rabbit Cat, the knocking next door started right up again. Just when she was at her wit's end, the doorbell rang. She assumed it was the neighbor coming to pick a fight. Instead, standing outside was her other neighbor, Jake. A friend had sent him some black tea, and since he had more than he could drink, he decided to share some with Anna. Anna was genuinely touched. They were both neighbors, so why was Jake so incredibly thoughtful? She couldn't help but vent to him about everything that had been bothering her. All she wanted was to come home, watch some anime, and decompress, but she was scared of setting off the knocking next door. Jake was furious after hearing the whole thing. He figured the neighbor was just pushing Anna around because she was a woman, so he decided to go confront them, playing the role of her boyfriend. But the neighbor didn't respond at all, so Jake suggested they head into Anna's room to check things out. Anna got a little nervous. Her room was covered in anime stuff, and she was worried he'd make fun of her. To her surprise, Jake was actually into the same anime she was. Delighted, she invited him right in. She explained that the neighbor next door seemed to hate anime in general, with Rabbit Cat being the one exception. So Jake decided to knock on the wall himself, sending a message that they weren't going to put up with it anymore. But instead of backing off, it set the neighbor off completely. They punched a massive hole straight through the wall. The person stepped through the hole and unleashed a torrent of insults at Anna. Jake was ready to call the cops, but Anna stopped him. She had recognized the guy. He was Tom, the creator of Rabbit Cat, her idol. Tom's work was her absolute favorite manga. Whenever she read it, all the exhaustion from work just melted away. Jake still thought they should call the cops, but Anna insisted Tom must have had a reason for what he did. Turns out, while Tom was grinding away on his manuscript, his fan next door was over there watching other people's anime. That didn't sit right with him. Anna's whole attitude flipped in an instant. If the knocking had been coming from Tom this whole time, she was actually honored. Jake was at a loss for words, but he didn't really have a leg to stand on either. The next morning, Anna had just woken up when she found Tom sitting on her bed. She let out a scream. Jake rushed over to see what was going on. Turns out Tom had stayed up all night and was starving, so Anna made him a meal. Watching him dig in with a big smile on his face, Anna still couldn't quite believe her idol was sitting in her apartment eating her cooking. What she didn't see coming was that Tom would ask her to be his assistant, specifically to cook for him. It was pretty hard to say no to her idol. Jake was a little uneasy about the whole thing and decided to stick around and keep an eye on the situation. And so, from that point on, whenever mealtime came around, both of them would show up at Anna's place. Anna had officially become the personal chef for both of her neighbors.